Hi everyone, it's Katrina. The world is full of mysterious ancient places. Today we are going exploring. From India's impressive rock-cut temples to seemingly impossible sites in Malta. Stick around because you won't want to miss this. The rock-cut temples of India. Imagine a temple carved out of a single monolithic block of sandstone, a testament to human ingenuity and devotion. Masrur Temple is a masterpiece of 8th century rock-cut architecture and stands out as proof of the hard work and good construction methods from 1200 years ago. This temple complex isn't just one building. It consists of 15 temples carved out of a single block of sandstone. It's huge! It's essentially a giant stone sculpture garden dedicated to various Hindu deities, but primarily Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is one of the most revered deities in Hinduism. Known as the Destroyer, he is a blend of contradictory qualities, both fearsome and benevolent, abstinent and sensual. He is often depicted with a third eye, a serpent around his neck, and ash smeared on his body. Shiva represents the force of transformation and regeneration in the universe. His divine role is to destroy the old and make way for new creation, maintaining the cosmic balance. The temples were built by the Chandela rulers who were renowned for their architectural prowess. The Chandela dynasty ruled over most of the Bundelkhand region of central India between the 9th and 13th centuries. They carved the temples into the rock with meticulous detail, creating a stunning array of shrines, sanctums, and courtyards. The central sanctum is dedicated to Lord Shiva, while the surrounding temples include intricate carvings of other gods, goddesses, and celestial beings. As you stroll through the complex, you'll be captivated by the detailed friezes and sculptures. Every temple features elaborate carvings, including mythical figures and divine beings, showcasing the craftsmanship and artistic skills of a bygone era. It's a place where the past comes alive through stone. And now for a quick break, because it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to Doc Goodwood and Coco and Dad for supporting this channel. Hi guys! Hope you have a great day or night, depending on where you are. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this. Colossal heads. Mount Nemrut is home to colossal heads, with some towering over 30 feet tall. These ancient sculptures are a testament to the Commagene kingdom from the 1st century BC. Located in modern-day Turkey, Mount Nemrut is home to a remarkable archaeological site. The Commagene kingdom, ruled by King Antiochus I Theos, commissioned the construction of these monumental sculptures as part of a tomb sanctuary. The Commagene kingdom emerged after the death of Alexander the Great. The kingdom managed to retain its independence until 17 AD, when, of course, the Romans came, led by Emperor Tiberius, and took over. They resisted for a while, but it was finally officially absorbed into the Roman Empire in 72 AD. The mysterious heads and large broken body parts sprawled over the ground are a unique blend of Greek and Persian influences. The gods are all mixed together, and some are even shaking hands. How these massive statues were carved and transported to the mountaintop remains a mystery. Given the limited technology of the time, the engineering feat involved in their construction is truly impressive. The positioning of the statues and overall design of the sanctuary suggests they have something to do with astronomy and astrology, but most of that knowledge has been lost to time. The statues, which were originally lined up, are now scattered due to centuries of erosion and earthquakes. Their current state makes the site even more mysterious. To experience the majesty of Mount Nemrut, you should definitely visit at sunrise or sunset when the sculptures are bathed in a golden light, creating a truly unforgettable experience. The hypogeum of Malta. One of the oldest and most mysterious structures from prehistory is in Malta. It is a truly remarkable ancient site, dating back to around 4000 BC. This underground temple complex, located in the town of Paula, has even been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So what exactly is the hypogeum? Picture a vast multi-level labyrinth carved directly out of a limestone hill. This underground marvel stretches 3 stories deep and includes a network of interconnected chambers. The entire complex was cut out of the rock using primitive tools made from just stone and animal bones, if you can believe it. This would have required incredible skill and effort. One of the hypogeum's standout features is its intricate design. Among its rock-cut features are an oracle chamber, trilithons with 3 stone structures, beam-supported doorways, a large cistern, and an inner sanctuary surrounded by smaller chambers. The oracle chamber, in particular, is famous for its unique acoustic properties. When a word is spoken inside, it's amplified 100-fold and can be heard throughout the entire structure. The vibrations can even be felt in the bones, making it feel like standing inside a giant resonating bell. This would have been an incredibly immersive experience back in the day, like the Sphere of Las Vegas in the ancient world. The place is believed to have been home to a cult of the dead, and perhaps home to an oracle. On an even spookier note, excavations also uncovered the remains of over 7,000 skeletons. Among these were several elongated skulls whose origins remain a mystery, since now the skulls themselves have disappeared. There was a lot going on in here. Despite the many secrets still surrounding the hypogeum, thousands of years later it stands as a testament to the cultural and historical significance of Malta. Have you ever explored an ancient underground complex? Let me know about your experience in the comments. The mystery of Newgrange. Imagine a hidden world older than the pyramids, illuminated by a celestial spectacle once a year. Newgrange, located an hour north of Dublin, Ireland, is a prehistoric marvel. This Neolithic passage tomb, built around 3200 BC, is chock full of engineering and astronomical knowledge. One of the most impressive aspects of Newgrange is its precise alignment with the winter solstice. This ancient monument was constructed so that on the shortest day of the year, a narrow beam of sunlight pierces through a small opening above the entrance and travels the length of this 62-foot passage to illuminate the central chamber. The alignment is incredibly accurate, considering the technology available to the ancient builders. Covered in a mound of earth and stones, Newgrange lay forgotten for centuries until it was rediscovered in 1699. The prevailing view is that native Irish people created it, but some theories suggest that outsiders like the Vikings, Phoenicians, Egyptians, or even Romans had a hand in its construction. However, excavations in the 1960s revealed its true purpose: a place of spiritual significance. Recent genetic research supports the idea that Newgrange was built by descendants of Anatolian farmers who migrated to Ireland around 5,800 years ago. But how exactly they built it, well, nobody knows. Despite numerous theories, such as connections to ancient Egyptians or Phoenicians, there is little evidence supporting these claims. So, unfortunately, the mystery of Newgrange remains, particularly regarding its construction methods and the true extent of its builders' knowledge. Although maybe the mystery makes it a little more magical. The submerged castle of Lake Van. In 2017, a team of underwater photographers made a startling discovery in Turkey's Lake Van, an ancient castle hidden beneath the water. This underwater Atlantis sparked all kinds of debate. The true story behind the structure is more complex than initially believed. The structure was discovered by a team led by underwater photographer Tassim Ceylan during dives in Lake Van. Ceylan's team came across what they initially described as a castle wall. The wall extended into the lake from the harbor of Adilsevaz, a town with a long history. The alleged castle is just over a half-mile long and was built from cut stones. One of these stones features a lion carving, hinting at its potential connection to the Urartian civilization, which flourished around 3,000 years ago. This civilization might be new to you, but they were killing it in ancient Armenia from the 9th to the 6th centuries BC. They were a formidable military power and built impressive cities and fortifications. Their influence in art and culture can still be seen today. Archaeologists suggest that much of what's seen underwater likely dates to the Middle Ages, not the Urartian period. Historical surveys and inscriptions support the idea that it is not 3,000 years old, but more like 1,000, which still isn't too shabby. Some experts believe that medieval builders might have repurposed Urartian materials. A report from 1958 discusses a medieval castle that reused Urartian blocks. Another mentions a wall with inscriptions about an Urartian king named Rusa, who spoke with an Urartian god. The castle underwater is intriguing, to say the least. The legend of Kailasa. Prepare to be amazed by the Kailasa Temple. It's another stunning marvel carved from a single block of stone, and it stands as one of India's most impressive cave temples. It's located within the Ellora Caves in Maharashtra. This colossal structure is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site that includes 34 caves dating from 600 to 1000 AD. This place is enormous. The temple was excavated from volcanic rock, requiring the removal of around 200,000 tons of stone. Can you imagine moving that much rock? I can't. But what's truly remarkable is that it was constructed from the top down. This method, while unusual, allowed the temple's peak to be completed rather quickly. Some say it was finished in just 1 week. This method was a clever trick attributed to a legend that begins with a king who fell gravely ill. His queen was deeply concerned for his health, so she prayed non-stop to Lord Shiva, remember the Hindu god of destruction and transformation. In her prayers, the queen vowed that if Shiva healed her husband, she would build a grand temple in his honor. She also said that she would fast until the temple summit was completed. Then, miraculously, the king got better. The queen was so grateful that she began the monumental task of building the temple right away. However, it soon became abundantly clear that the construction would take many years to finish on her own. But the queen was determined to fulfill her vow. At this point, a clever engineer came into the picture. He understood the queen's predicament and helped her fulfill her promise to Lord Shiva by proposing a brilliant solution. Instead of building the temple from the ground up, which would take forever, he suggested starting from the top and working downward. Using this new method, the peak of the temple was completed in just 7 days. While the legend paints a vivid picture, the true origins of Kailasa Temple remain shrouded in mystery. Scholars generally attribute its creation to Rashtrakuta King Krishna I, who reigned in the 8th century. However, specific records linking the king to the temple's construction are scarce. The temple stands as a colossal monument to human ingenuity and unwavering faith. Visitors come from around the world to see it. Do you want to go? Skara Brae. Skara Brae is an ancient village on a small island north of mainland Scotland. It is one of the most captivating archaeological sites in the world. Dating back to 3200 BC, it predates even the Egyptian pyramids. It's also part of the Heart of Neolithic Orkney World Heritage Site. This site is often called the Egypt of the North due to its historical significance. Like many exciting discoveries, Skara Brae was found by accident. There was a massive storm in 1850. The strong winds and high tides eroded the mound covering the village, revealing hidden structures underneath. The full scale of the site lay undiscovered until a 1925 storm uncovered even more of the village. Thanks, storm! Despite its age, surprisingly, the village remains in excellent condition. It was a complex settlement with 8 interconnected houses, each linked by underground passages. This layout suggests that Skara Brae could have housed 50 to 100 people at any given time over its 600-year occupation. The village is so well preserved because it was built into mounds of refuse from earlier settlements, which helped protect it from the elements. The Orkney windstorms are no joke. The wind could last for days, but these giant mounds would protect them. Inside the stone-walled houses, you'll find evidence of everyday life. Hearths for cooking, stone beds, and tools crafted from bone, stone, and volcanic pumice. The villagers were skilled artisans, creating intricate jewelry and pottery. The exact reason the site was abandoned is unclear, but the harsh weather probably had something to do with it. By around 2200 BC, the village was abandoned, and the area wasn't settled again until the Vikings arrived in 787. The mystery of Chaco Canyon. Chaco Canyon is home to an ancient city carved into the heart of a desert canyon. This UNESCO World Heritage Site in New Mexico offers a glimpse into the lives of a sophisticated civilization that thrived centuries ago. Chaco Canyon is home to a network of massive stone structures built right into the cliff using advanced techniques for their time. The canyon has been a site of human activity since as early as 2900 BC, but the real transformation began around 850 AD. The inhabitants started an ambitious construction project, building massive stone structures that were unprecedented in scale and complexity. These great houses rose 4 to 5 stories high, contained up to 700 rooms, and included dozens of kivas, or ceremonial underground chambers. What made these structures even more impressive was their alignment with celestial bodies. They were designed to track the sun, moon, and stars with water collection systems and an extensive road network connecting them to other communities. They made living in the desert look easy. Evidence suggests that the people of Chaco Canyon were expert skywatchers, as demonstrated by the Sun Dagger petroglyph. This rock carving was used to mark the cycles of the sun and possibly the moon, reflecting their deep knowledge of celestial patterns. This is even more impressive when you consider the fact that the Chacoans did not have a written language, at least that we know of. But just as mysteriously as they began, the construction stopped completely around 1150 AD, and everyone started to leave. When the Spanish arrived in the southwest in the 1600s, they named the local people Pueblo people, basically village people in Spanish. But it is now a term that encompasses several groups who consider Chaco Canyon a sacred place. Today, Chaco Canyon attracts around 80,000 visitors a year, many of whom are drawn by its well-preserved great houses and its dark, starry skies. It's a great place for photographers. The canyon is home to the only national park observatory, allowing visitors to gaze at the night sky much like the Chacoans did 1,000 years ago. Have you ever been to Chaco Canyon? Let me know in the comments. Hagar Qim. On the sun-kissed island of Malta, the prehistoric temple complex of Hagar Qim offers a glimpse into a forgotten era. It's spelled like Hagar Qim, but the Q is apparently silent. Dating back over 5,000 years, these megalithic structures are a testament to the ingenuity and mystery of ancient civilizations. It is way older than Stonehenge. The colossal stones, some weighing over 22,000 pounds, have baffled experts for centuries. How did the builders of this ancient site move and position such massive rocks? I don't know. But what makes Hagar Qim so captivating are the mysteries and legends associated with it. The legend suggests that the Cyclops, with their incredible strength, could have been the builders of the massive stone structures at Hagar Qim. It also helps that ancient people found many remains of dwarf elephants on the island. These weird skulls have a giant hole in the middle of the forehead for the elephant's trunk. But how are people supposed to know that? It looks like an eye socket. Of course it looks like a Cyclops skull. This place was thriving for a long time, but then everyone was gone. The disappearance of the temple builders remains one of Malta's greatest unanswered questions. By around 2500 BC, the temples were abandoned, and when the Phoenicians arrived in Malta around 700 BC, the islands were completely deserted. So why were these temples abandoned around 2500 BC? Was it due to environmental changes, invasions, or even a biblical flood? The Venus of Malta, a tiny figurine discovered at the site, adds another layer of intrigue. This voluptuous statue suggests a connection to fertility rituals, but its exact significance remains unknown. Malta's ancient history is filled with strange things. The mysterious cart ruts, or deep grooves carved into the rock, have sparked theories ranging from Roman chariots to extraterrestrial intervention, of course. What do you think about this mysterious place? And the voluptuous statue? Let me know in the comments. Stonehenge's celestial connection. In early 2024, new research uncovered a fascinating potential link between Stonehenge and the moon. Stonehenge, the iconic prehistoric monument on England's Salisbury Plain, has long been known for its solar alignments, particularly its alignment with the midsummer sunrise and midwinter sunset. But recent studies suggest that Stonehenge might also be connected to lunar cycles, specifically the lunar standstill. But what's a lunar standstill? Every 18.6 years, the moon's rise and set points shift dramatically from north to south. This shift creates a phenomenon known as the lunar standstill, which results in extreme positions of the moon on the horizon. During a major lunar standstill, these extreme positions are at the furthest apart. From May 2024 until mid-2025, observers might notice the moon appearing unusually high or low in the sky during these lunar cycles. Recent investigations have revealed that the station stones at Stonehenge, which form a rectangle around the main stone circle, roughly align with the moon's extreme positions during these lunar standstills. This has led researchers to see whether Stonehenge's design intentionally incorporates these lunar alignments or if it's an accident. Clive Ruggles from the University of Leicester and Fabio Silva from Bournemouth University are currently exploring the possibility. If Stonehenge was designed with lunar cycles in mind, it adds new information to our understanding of its purpose. While the site's solar alignments have been well documented, evidence for its relationship with the moon is not so clear. The alignment of the station stones with the moon's extreme positions might suggest that Stonehenge had additional astronomical significance related to lunar cycles. It's layers upon layers of astronomy. Archaeologists have also found cremated remains near part of Stonehenge, which aligns with the southernmost moonrise during these standstill periods. This might indicate that the ancient builders considered these lunar events as sacred or important. So, from February 2024 to November 2025, the moon will align with the station stones twice a month. If you want to go see it, you still have time to plan a trip. Stonehenge isn't necessarily unique in this regard. Other ancient sites like Chimney Rock in Colorado and the Calanese Standing Stones in Scotland might also be linked to lunar standstills. But some experts still think it's by accident. How about you? Nan Madol. Nan Madol is so incredible it is known as the Venice of the Pacific. It's essentially a city built on artificial islands in a lagoon. The sheer scale and complexity of the construction is mind-boggling, especially considering the technology available at the time. Located on the island of Pohnpei in Micronesia, not to be confused with Pompeii, this abandoned city was once the political and ceremonial center for the Saudoler dynasty, from around 1100 to 1628 AD. The site is made up of nearly 100 artificial islets spread over 200 acres, built from basalt columns and coral rock. The sheer scale of the construction is astounding, with an estimated 750,000 metric tons of stone used. Over a span of 4 centuries, the people of Pohnpei moved an average of 1,850 tons of basalt each year. Not pebble by pebble, but huge stone by huge stone. That's an engineering marvel, considering the technology available 1,000 years ago. Archaeologist Rufino Mauricio and Nan Madol expert Mark McCoy have been working to find out how they did it. And now they think they have the solution. The builders used ropes and levers, transporting and stacking the columns on coral reefs, creating platforms, ceremonial sites, dwellings, tombs, and crypts. Surprisingly, they used no mortar or concrete. But not everyone believes the conventional understanding of how this place was built. That's no fun. Tales of supernatural powers and curses surrounding Nan Madol add to its mystique. Local legends describe great birds or giants moving the basalt rocks. Another myth describes twin sorcerers that use magic to create the site. There was a well that was home to a sacred eel god. Priests would feed this eel the innards of specially raised and cooked turtles as part of religious rituals. Surprisingly, these stories align with some archaeological evidence. Are you surprised? On the island of Eded, which is part of the Nan Madol complex, researchers discovered a pile of turtle remains. This provides physical proof of the turtle offerings described in the oral histories. The canal system mentioned in the oral traditions is also supported by archaeological findings. The canals were like the ones in Venice or Amsterdam, designed to allow eels to enter the city from the sea, which aligns with the accounts of the sacred eel and its role in local rituals. These canals are an integral part of Nan Madol's infrastructure. Nan Madol was once ruled by the Saudoler dynasty, a line of chiefs said to be descended directly from a god. Their rule was marked by grand construction projects and, of course, high taxes, so not a great combination. They became corrupt and eventually fell from grace. Today, Nan Madol stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a testament to the ingenuity, resilience, and cultural richness of its people. It's a place where history and legend intertwine.
Thanks for watching! Be sure to stay tuned for extra content you might have missed. Mount Hekla. Mount Hekla is a truly enormous stratovolcano in the country of Iceland. It stands 4,891 feet tall and was once believed to be the gateway to hell. This shouldn't be all that surprising considering just how truly horrible an eruption from this volcano can be. Toxic gas, hot ash, fiery lava, and great balls of fire burst from the top. When it erupted in the year 1104, the Vikings living in Iceland thought hell was literally overflowing and the world was ending. A poem from just after the explosion described Mount Hekla as the eternal prison of Judas. Later on, in the 16th century, German writer Caspar Putzer wrote that the entrance to hell was located within the bottomless abyss inside the mouth of Mount Hekla. As you can tell, the mountain was viewed as a very powerful place to the ancient people in Iceland. It was powerful and completely evil. Birds seen flying around the volcano were thought to be the lost souls of bad people or demons. Locals believed witches gathered around the base of the volcano to plot and scheme with the devil. It had a pretty bad reputation. The fact the mountain has erupted about 20 times over the past 1,000 years probably has something to do with it. Few things are as impressive, powerful, and fearsome as an active volcano. Temple of the Magic Square. Archaeologists in India have found a very strange inscription left on the pillar of an old temple. It's been described as a magic square puzzle, a Sudoku-like numbers game. Any Sudoku fans out there? When the numbers on the square are added in any direction, they always equal 15. That's the number that happens to be associated with the deity of the temple. The discovery was made while researchers were trying to repair the pillars of the 13th century structure in Palani. It was once used for public rituals, but is now abandoned and close to falling over. The inscription had been hidden under coatings of limestone, written hundreds of years after the temple was first built. Researchers think it was probably put on the temple pillar in the 17th century. The numbers almost definitely have something to do with the Hindu god of war, Lord Muruga. In Hindu mythology, every god has a number. Lord Muruga's number is 15. It's believed that during ancient festivals, the magic square was used as a kind of parlor trick for attendees. No matter which way they added the numbers in the grids, they always came up with 15. It wasn't the temple itself that had any real power, but the use of numbers that would have really wowed everyone. It was tricks like this that made praying at temples a much more immersive and believable experience in ancient times. Do you like playing number games? Let me know in the comments below. Old-New Synagogue. You've undoubtedly heard the term golem somewhere during your life. A golem is usually a large creature in a fantasy world built from solid stone. But the real golem got its start in Jewish folklore. It was a supernatural beast that plagued the alleyways and dark recesses of the Jewish ghetto in Prague. It came from a place called the Old-New Synagogue, which dates back to the later part of the 13th century. It was once the main house of worship for the Jewish community in Prague. Even today, it's one of the oldest and most notorious Gothic buildings in the city. The synagogue is also a place of great power. It was in this very building where Rabbi Lowe, if the stories are to be believed, created the golem. Legend has it Rabbi Lowe was trying to keep the Jewish people of the city safe during the reign of some pretty mean and unpredictable rulers living in the castle. He used the 4 main natural elements as raw power to mold the golem out of a block of mud. The rabbi then brought the golem to life by placing a shem, a clay tablet inscribed with the name of God, into its mouth. The golem did its job protecting the Jews of Prague until the rabbi made a mistake. He forgot to deactivate his creation on the Sabbath, and the golem went wild and stormed through the city, destroying everything. And while none of this probably happened, the Old-New Synagogue is still considered a place of great power in Prague. And yes, Rabbi Lowe was a real historical figure. He was a Jewish scholar and is currently buried in Prague's Old Jewish Cemetery. Fengdu Ghost City. In Chinese, Fengdu translates roughly to the City of Ghosts. This mysterious place can be found at the northern part of the Yangtze River and is the hub of all things paranormal and spooky in Chinese culture. The city of Fengdu dates back about 2,000 years to around 200 BC, when the Han Dynasty was still in power. Legend has it that 2 military officials, one named Yin and one named Wang, abandoned their posts and ran away. They put down the first building blocks of the city, and it grew and prospered from there. But the truth is that not much is known about the city's early history. We know that at some point, Fengdu became known across the country as the place where the devil lives. Tianzi, the king of the dead, supposedly lorded over the city as well. These crazy rumors fueled a boom in tombs and crypts being built throughout the city. It became a massive burial ground and is still, to this day, one of the largest mass graveyards in all of China. But there are more than just burials in Fengdu. There are also dozens and dozens of temples, statues of demons and ghost kings, and paintings of people in various states of suffering. All things told, this may be the one place in China that is most connected to the land of the dead. It has 2,000 years of creepy history, with many locals still believing it's filled with ghosts and the spirits of demons. And now for number 6, but first it's shout-out time! Want to say a big thank you to AJF and Thunder Raider. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with us. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. The Fertility Temple. The sacred Chimi Lakang Monastery in Bhutan is associated with more than just the general Buddhist principles of serenity and peace. It's also a fertility temple, originally built in the 15th century and blessed by the old Buddhist leader Drukpa Kunli, also known as the Divine Madman. Some even called him the Saint of 5,000 women. He worked tirelessly to spread enlightenment of a more physical nature. Because of him, phallic symbols can be found all throughout Bhutan. They can also be found all throughout this temple. It's home to dozens of stone and wooden phallus decorations. Even the monks have special talismans shaped like the male reproductive organ that they use to bless women who wish to be fertile. After this monastery was built, the use of such symbols became more acceptable in Bhutan. He became legendary, with locals believing he could turn demons into protective spirits by bopping them on their head with a giant wooden phallus, which he called the Thunderbolt of Flaming Wisdom. In modern Bhutan, the use of such symbols is much more frowned upon than it used to be, but the Fertility Temple remains standing as a powerful place. It's visited by people all over the world looking for the blessing of the Divine Madman and his Thunderbolt of Flaming Wisdom. Helike, the real Atlantis. The ancient city of Helike was located on the southwest shore of the Gulf of Corinth on the Peloponnese Peninsula. By the time the ancient Greek writer Homer mentioned the settlement in the 4th century BC, it was already ancient. It has probably been around for at least 3,000 years, if not more. For the Greeks, Helike was a place of great religious importance. There was a sanctuary dedicated to Poseidon in the city, which attracted pilgrims from all over the region. Historians believe the Temple of Poseidon was the second most important religious place in all of classical Greece, next only to the Sanctuary of Apollo at Delphi. Alas, the city met its end in 373 BC. That was when an earthquake struck and triggered something known as soil liquefaction. The soil underneath the city was saturated with water. It lost its strength and it turned to liquid. The entire city sank, and the ocean level rose to cover it. There were no survivors, nothing left. Within just an hour, the entire city was literally buried, gone under the waves. After the fact, historians wrote the disaster wasn't caused by a simple act of nature, but rather by an act of vengeance from the god Poseidon. This matches up with the tale of Atlantis and its sinking. There are many people out there who believe Helike was the real inspiration for the lost city of Atlantis. The city was destroyed at around the same time Atlantis was supposed to be destroyed, and a vengeful god was to blame. It actually makes more sense than almost every other Atlantis theory out there. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. City of Rituals. The fortress of Vilars de Arbeca in Spain is an old ruin that dates back to the 8th century BC. It's a small and very ancient town that's become something of a puzzle for archaeologists because of its design. It seems to have been built by a modern military engineer. It has a circular wall over 15 feet wide and was once flanked by 12 massive towers. It had a water cistern, a flood moat over 45 feet wide, and was really quite the impregnable fortress for its time. But here's the strange part about the fortress. The inhabitants built imposing towers, strong walls, and roads leading from building to building, but they also had a strange obsession with rituals. Archaeological excavations have revealed things not found in any other ancient settlements in Spain. For example, they once discovered the burial of a horse fetus underneath the floor of a house. Nobody knows exactly what the people here were doing, but they definitely had some unusual beliefs. This was likely a place of great power during the days of the Iberians, but archaeological evidence has left us with more questions than answers. Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash is the most sacred mountain in all the Himalayas. Some call it the Stairway to Heaven, a great peak of ice and snow that stands 22,000 feet above the Tibetan Plateau. For both Hindus and Buddhists, Mount Kailash is considered the physical embodiment of Mount Meru, the center of the universe and the very axis of the world. The mountain is said to be dotted with mysterious monasteries and caves where unknown holy men reside in total seclusion, never seen by people of the outside world. Pilgrims travel to the base of the mountain every year as part of a pilgrimage, but nobody has ever actually been able to climb to the summit. Not a single human being has ever stood on the peak of Mount Kailash, which makes its legend so much more believable to those who have faith in them. Reaching the peak is considered a forbidden act among Hindus because they still believe divine entities live at its top. If a Hindu were to reach the peak of the mountain, they would be trespassing on holy ground, disturbing the divine energy that rests there. In Tibetan mythology, there was only one person who ever reached the top. He was a monk by the name of Milarepa, but when he returned to the folks at the bottom, he warned everyone to never go up to the peak or they would bother God. Finally, it's said that as you get nearer and nearer to the top of the mountain, you begin aging faster. Even tourists who venture to the base of the mountain claim that their hair and fingernails begin growing at an extraordinary rate. The Hill of Ward. Ireland's Hill of Ward was once considered a place of great and terrible power. Irish archaeologists recently digging on the hill, what is today a literal hill of dirt and grass, discovered evidence of burning. They found proof dating back to the year 500 that there were significant fires lit on top of this hill. This has led them to speculate that the Hill of Ward may have been the place where the very first Halloween bonfire was lit. There have been all kinds of places in Ireland credited with being the original site of Halloween. The ancient festival of Samhain, where Halloween comes from, was celebrated everywhere on the island, so this isn't really a huge surprise. The truth is that nobody knows where the very first Halloween bonfire was lit, but we do know the Hill of Ward was one of the main places for the celebration. On October 31st, as the sun set over Ireland, Druids built great fires on the hill. They believed the veil between our world and the land of the dead was at its thinnest at that time. Sure, October 31st also marks the end of the harvest season, but on the Hill of Ward, it was a time when people believed they could reach through the veil and into the realm of spirits. The elves of Iceland. In Iceland, there is still an unusually large group of people who believe elves are real. They call the elves Huldafolk, or the hidden people. It's believed that in the great lava fields north of Reykjavik, the supernatural forces of the old world are still alive and thriving. These hidden people, the ancient Icelandic elves, are said to live under giant boulders and pieces of stone that litter the landscape 8,000 years old. The terrain is barren, it's plagued by howling winds and the occasional fiery eruption. You can probably understand why it was considered a place of amazing power thousands of years ago. And yet, according to The Guardian, about half the local population still believes there is an entire parallel community living out there. Just beyond the last suburbs of the Icelandic capital, there is, according to about 50% of Icelanders, a mirror world of elves, dwarves, and even ghosts. Some people even claim to be able to see them. Over the past few years, there's been a lot of problems in Iceland with development. Roads are being built, infrastructure is going up, and the world of the elves is being torn apart. In 2012, Ragnhildur Jónsdóttir said the elves contacted him personally to protect their sacred land. He is now the unofficial spokesperson for the elves, trying to keep the construction crews away from the lava field. He even teamed up with a group of environmentalists to campaign against any new development. But the development is still ongoing. Whether or not the elves of ancient times are still living out there in a kind of ethereal dimension, nobody really knows. But in a few years, the landscape might be gone anyway, turned into highways, shopping centers, and hotels for tourists. Thanks for watching! Hope you learned something new today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon for more videos like these. Bye!